Dumaguete.
Hello, Negros Oriental.
Hello, Sillimanians around the world.
This is Joshua Soldivillo.
And this is Ronelyn Vailoces.
You're watching #Silliman.
For #Silliman updates, Pia Elizabeth Angela Bedaure, a fifth-year civil engineering student of Silliman University, and Phoebe Nicole Amistoso, former nutrition and dietetics students, won a gold medal as a team in the archery women's team recurve competition at the 31st Southeast Asian Sea Games on May 18, 2022 in Hanoi, Vietnam. Bedaure and Amistoso, both from Dumaguete City, are two of the three archers who represented the Philippines in the women's team recurve competition. Their third teammate, Gabriel Monica Bedaure, is also from Dumaguete City. Congratulations and thank you for making Silliman and Dumagueteños proud.
Meanwhile, the Silliman University Psychology Department will establish a psychological research laboratory following a donation made by the SU Psychology Department's class of 1981 alumni. Representatives of the said alumni batch did an ocular visit last May 17, 2022 in room 312 of Luz U. Ausejo Hall, which will be used as the laboratory. With the laboratory, Dr. Rogen Alcantara said that the department aims to upgrade student experience in courses under Silliman University Psychology program, such as experimental psychology, and to improve the quality of research data.
Silliman University welcomed Mindanao State University Iligan Institute of Technology or MSU-IIT officials for a benchmarking activity with the Development, Enterprises and External Affairs Division last April 28, 2022. The MSU-IIT group was headed by Silliman University alumnus Dr. Franco G. Teves, the current Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, and Dr. Giovanni A. Caballero, Director for Alumni and Career Center or ACC and Institute Endowment Fund. The MSU-IIT group focused on the various alumni activities SU is engaged in, as well as activities in partnership with alumni groups in the country and abroad.
We would like to congratulate all the completers of the Silliman University Senior High School Batch 2022. Congratulations to proud parents and faculty members of Silliman University Senior High School.
That would be all. See you next week for another set of #Silliman updates. Good evening, everyone. This is a magazine program that talks about different aspects of Silliman University.
A program initiated to discuss matters concerning the campus by the sea. Welcome to
#Silliman.
Good evening, Sillimanians and friends of Silliman around the world. Thank you for making #Silliman your Monday night habit. Many have seen an apple falling, but only one asked why. Fast forward to 2022, this is only but a simple question asked in the Physics and Geology Department. Joining us tonight are students and faculty members of the Physics and Geology Department. Allow me to introduce first our faculty members, more particularly brilliant and gorgeous faculty members. We have Dr. K. Marie Martinez Paglinawan. Dr. K, good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening, everyone.
We're also joined by Assistant Professor Florence Annette Labis. Good evening, Ma'am Flor, and welcome to the program.
Good evening, everyone.
We also have tonight with us here handsome and good-looking students from the Physics and Geology Department.
Yes.
First, let me introduce a second-year geology student, Mr. Duane Augustine Guevarra.
Good evening.
We also have here with us the third-year physics student, Junelie Anthony Velonta.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me here.
Welcome, everyone, to #Silliman.
Yes, welcome, and I'm so happy, Ron, seeing my colleagues again after like how many months now? We have not seen each other, so I hope you're doing well. Let's begin. Ron, while I was thinking of our questions for this episode, I was really having a hard time how to begin our conversation. And I was seeing that time one of the posts of Ma'am Annette, I think that's what travel abroad, no? That's one of the photos that I saw on her Facebook. And I think it's fitting to begin our conversation with the life-changing opportunities that you're able to enjoy because of your course and because of the career that you've chosen. Probably we'll start with Ma'am Annette.
Okay. So although BS Geology was not really my first choice, it was my parents, but I never really regret that I was able to finish BS Geology degree. To cut the long story short, I was able to enroll in a master's program, and because of the graduate studies, I was able to present my research abroad. So that was my first time
Where
traveling
was
abroad.
this, Ma'am Annette?
It was in Japan.
Wow,
and
Japan. Have you
in
been to
Singapore.
Japan, Ron?
Third floor, Japan, third floor.
Wow, Japan! That's
Yes,
amazing. So after that,
And after that, after I present my research, I was also able to do analysis. So it was really a life-changing opportunity for me. So that is why it is geology. Literally, it will take you to places.
right? That's. I also would love to go to Japan one day. How about Dr. K?
Yeah, just like Florence, no, physics has literally taken me to several places
Wow.
here in the country and abroad as well. Being in physics, where I am actually right now, was brought by the decision that I have made in taking a BS Physics degree way back before. After I did my undergrad studies here in Silliman University, in fact, I decided to further my continue with my master's degree in the University of the Philippines in
Same
Manila.
with Ma'am Annette.
Yes, and then I came back here in Silliman to teach, but then I had this dream to really pursue a PhD career, and so I was given the opportunity back then in 2016 to have my degree abroad. I was in the University of Adelaide in South Australia, so I did my studies there. From then on, everything just came like it unfolded. No? I had several opportunities to present my research, even in other countries. So I was able to go to Vietnam and in Italy as well, just before the pandemic started. so it has been very impactful. Being in physics, literally. Physics is my life.
Ma'am Kay, makikimarites na lang. You mentioned
Sure.
that you studied your PhD in Australia. What did you specialize in your graduate studies?
Yeah, so
Dr. Kay?
in my PhD degree, I did theoretical nuclear physics. Theoretical in the sense that we were just working inside the computer laboratory and just doing calculations, so nothing very sophisticated with all the nuclear blah blahs. No, but we were just doing all theory on nuclear physics.
Wow,
particularly.
Ron, our faculty members at the physics department and geology department are truly a powerhouse, I should say.
They are really competitive. Now, I'd like to ask Duane and Junelie, listening from your mentors and teachers, are you excited to graduate? But before you answer that, let me ask you a question. Why did you enroll or choose physics, and why did you choose geology? Junelie?
For me, I chose physics because since elementary, I really wanted to do sciences. I qualified for the Philippine Science High School program, and after I graduated, I actually considered chemistry, biochemistry to be exact, and other fields, but I fell in love with physics first with working with electronics. That's where I fell in love with working with electricity, working with machines, working with or concepts, and I'm really into that, creating things that would do complicated tasks. But now that I'm enrolled in physics, I realize that physics is it's much more than that. It's not just creating complicated machines, it's also complicated things, but it's also understanding life, understanding from the function of the cells to how our weather works worldwide. And that's what made me realize that I am in the right place.
Okay. How about you, Duane?
When I was little, I have been always interested in the Earth, our planet, But before geology, I had a lot of other ambitions. Like, for example, at first I wanted to be an artist and then an architect.
Is this a singer or
No, like
dancer?
fine arts.
Fine
Fine
A
arts.
singer, we would like an as a sample.
And then I wanted to become an architect.
Okay.
But then eventually I still had that deep interest for the earth during those times. And in high school, in junior high school, my science teacher gave me the opportunity to substitute for her in class when she's not around. And usually I get assigned geology topics. And in those times, that's where it really started to skyrocket. So I really wanted to become a geologist. So I think that's all.
Right. So I think, Ron, no, these are coming from hearing their own stories. I'm sure we have also similar stories of our students who are still trying to find their, let's say, career later on. No? But I'd like to pick on the statements of June earlier about studying, from the cells up to the weather. And I'd like to ask our faculty members here, how relevant geology and physics are, like for instance, in the talks of, let's say, the future, and even, let's say, the talks of climate change. How important are these disciplines?
I can start now. Physics in itself is a very broad discipline. It ranges from studying the atomic nuclei to the subatomic level and to the electron level, up into the grandest of things that you can think of, up to the entire universe. So there are several applications to the fundamentals when you study physics. Just one, for example, just like how Junelie mentioned about electronics, the things that we enjoy right now, our gadgets, data processing, and everything else, just I cannot credit all of it to physics, but physics laid the groundwork, the foundations of all of these things. In the course of the pandemic, for example, we have had a picture, we were able to peek through these very minute particles. This COVID-19 virus are very small. If it were just big, we can know right away who has the virus, but we cannot see
Hopefully
it.
nanofast.
Right? It is very small, and they have to use very sophisticated materials for instruments for that, just like the scanning electron microscope. So in that sense, we were able to have a deeper understanding of how not just how the universe works, but how this can be used for technological advances. I think that is very relevant.
Wow, amazing. How about you, Ma'am Flor? I'd like to add something on that.
Okay, so while pandemic is mostly concerned with global and health issues, it affects and it is affected by all other aspects, and that includes geology. So geology comes into play when we recognize the use of, we have what we call the geospatial connections. So this geospatial connections, it is strongly controlled by the transmissions of this, of the viruses. So with the use of this geospatial connection, we are able to understand more about the transmission. And not only that, geology becomes relevant, for example, in the time of COVID crisis, when we extract, for example, when we need potable and drinkable water. So that is when we require our, like, for example, hydrogeologist to
Very relevant, from the smallest up to the biggest, from the nearest up to the farthest, parang scale to scale, Ron, no?
Let me be honest for a while. Sometimes when you're talking, I'm zoning out because I came from social sciences, communication, and all of you are coming from the natural sciences. Let's talk about your academic offerings and what makes it unique. What sets it apart, especially the physics here in Silliman and geology here in Silliman University.
Yeah.
Should I start?
Anyone can start.
You'd like to
Even
start?
the
Students.
Junelie?
For me, what I really like about the sciences, actually, not just the physics and geology departments in Silliman, but the sciences as a whole, is that when we talk about science in the Philippines, we usually see researchers, have interviews of researchers from Luzon. And when we talk about sciences, it's usually the national institutes, like the National Institute of Physics, the National Institute of chemistry, which are all in Quezon City, if I'm not mistaken. And what's unique about being a STEM student in Silliman is that you can get to experience, you can get to do important research, do important things here in the Visayas, here in the south of the Philippines, in the southern parts of the Philippines, where not a lot of resources, not a lot of researchers are located. And I think that is what makes the physics program of Silliman University unique. This ability for the program to expose us to problems, to situations that are not necessarily nasa mind ng people of the Philippines, especially if they just watch national news. And this is what really is science is all about for me, that science is not just about the grand things, but also the local things. And that is what makes Silliman Physics unique, in my opinion.
How about Duane?
What makes geology unique in Silliman, right?
Yeah.
Silliman University and Negros Oriental State University, are, especially in Central Visayas, are currently the only universities offering Bachelor of Science in Geology.
Wow.
But what makes Silliman more unique, I think, is that we get a lot of support from the College of Arts and Sciences. Thus, we're having more facilities being approved. I think, but so far we still have a lot to improve, to grow, because we are the pioneering batch.
Okay.
And yes.
Okay. Yeah. So before going to take a short break, Dr. K and Ma'am Florence, usually being part of the pure sciences, you guys are commonly labeled as atheists, no? Like, not believing in God. But how do you inculcate the Christian education in your own classrooms? All right, so we'll listen to their answers when #Silliman returns. Welcome back. You're still watching #Silliman. So before we take a short break, we actually asked our faculty members at the Physics and Geology Department about their efforts in integrating the Christian education, given that, being in the pure sciences, some people would say that you are anti-believers or you are atheists. No? So how do you inculcate the Christian values in your classes?
Right, so I can start. There is a lot of stereotyping in that case. No, they would take physicists as atheists because physicists can so-called explain things. No, but to the personal level, I am a Christian. I am a believer. No, having known everything that I have learned so far in physics, actually it placed me in a position where I am humbled down. There is just so much to learn in this universe. What I know is just very minute things compared to what there is. No? And at the end of it all, no, I say to myself that there must be something greater in all these things, and there must be someone greater who orchestrated all these natural processes, no? And everything that we study here in the universe. No? And I wanted to impart that as well to the students, to my students. No? Just because we cannot understand anything does not mean that's the end of it. We can search more, we can research more, we can do a lot more, but we can never know everything, and we just have to later on come to the conclusion that indeed there is someone that is orchestrating all these things.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Mama Annette?
This may sound ironic, but I guess this is the best time for us educators or teachers to show our compassion hats to our students.
Right.
That means this is the time to be more compassionate and understanding to our students. And I think this is one of the ways that we model Christ in our classrooms.
I love that, Ron.
Yeah. And I'd like to ask Junelie and Duane, what is your so far evaluation about this online distance learning? Because we have been asking faculties and staff about their preparation. So I'd like to know a piece of their mind. Your evaluation on ODL.
As for me, no, the ODL works good enough for the physics department. I think that boils down to the fact that there are a lot of subjects, especially as for the physics department, a lot of physics subjects that can be taught not physically, because we do a lot of learning how to calculate things, learning how to solve things mathematically, and that can be done not just in a classroom, setting, but also in a setting where we are much more comfortable, especially at home. The downside to that is for the subjects that do require laboratory classes. Though we can simulate things, though we can do things locally in our homes or where we live, there's this lack. That's the core part of it. Na yes, we can do things through computer simulations, through calculations, imagining things in our heads as students, but seeing things in a laboratory, seeing things with the aid of actual equipment that is used by actual researchers and scientists, I think that's
it's a different experience, right? But I believe that geology department is beginning their limited face-to-face classes. So Duane, how's it going?
It's the limited face-to-face classes is really needed in geology because geology is a very hands-on course, and of course ma'am and my classmates experience that struggle online trying to know how the compass works.
Even the identification of rocks, it was really a challenge.
The identification of rocks. What does this crystal look like? What does it feel like? You cannot do that
especially
online.
The texture.
Oh,
yes.
I think that's very challenging.
And especially if you're if you're not in school where there are no facilities and then you're just home, without the materials that you need to familiarize yourself in geology, like for example, the textures and then what an igneous rock consists of, what it looks like, what are the particular rocks what are the particular crystals, and the particular sizes of those crystals are what they're supposed to be. Ba?
So that's amazing that you're having a limited face-to-face class now. And welcome again back to our students in campus. I'm so happy, Ron, that finally we're seeing students again in flesh, no? And it seems 2019. So I'd like to ask our faculty members, because aside from the instruction that you're doing in your classrooms, and can you share to us, is there any initiative or research project that you're working on right now, or any community extension works that you'd like to share to us?
Since the BS Geology program is still on its juvenile stage, so we are still currently on the process of procurement, for example, of this special equipment that are necessary for the program. In terms of the research, future research opportunities, we plan to study the various rocks here in Negros Island, because through this study, it will help us to understand more about the geology of Negros Island. And we're very fortunate, no, because currently we have been accepting donations. For example, just last month, one mining company donated this big, huge cabinet full of mounted rock samples to the BS Geology program. And not only that, we've been receiving book donations from known geologists in the country. So
that's amazing. Yeah. How about in the physics department?
Yeah, in the physics.
Dr. K?
Yeah, in the physics department, pre-pandemic, no, we have several instruments that we can use for various research topics, no. But because of the pandemic, we really do not know how they are right now. One of my personal project, actually, during the mid-year, is to visit the department and check whether they are still working and whether we can use them for research. We have dedicated laboratories for our classical mechanics, electronics, electricity, optics lab, no? And most especially in the radiation lab, which I would really want to check if the Geiger-Müllers are there still, no? To count radioactivities, stuff like that. So.
You know, Josh, I've been introduced with, I think, a lot of concepts and theories that all of our guests mentioned a while ago. Now, I'd like to ask all of them, what theories and or concepts in physics and geology teach you something about living or life itself?
I like that question. I'd like to start with our students.
Sige.
Geology, as you can see, we study the Earth from its very beginning, and then because of the geologic time scale, and then we realized that this particular strand of time called the Holocene, that's where the humans are since the very beginning of humanity. But that's just an entire very thin line in that whole timeline of the Earth, so that we can imagine that, wow, this is how it's unfathomable. It's unfathomable how old the Earth really is, and how long geologic processes take to form the features of the Earth that we see today.
Okay, sige.
Junelie?
As for me, I really am fond of the concept of chaos. Not in a anarchistic way,
Okay.
Disclaimer. But in a way that life itself is chaotic, di ba? And there's no such thing as a really orderly life. And when I studied the concepts of sa thermodynamics,
For 5
Entropy.
points.
of entropy.
Is this the concept of entropy?
Yes.
Okay.
Na everything breaks down, everything becomes another thing, everything, the default case of reality is chaos. And even though not everything is ordered, there are still patterns, there are still ways we can find that, this is how it works, even though the system itself is very chaotic. And I find myself rooting to that concept na even though, yes, life itself is turbulent, but hey, I'm still alive and I'm still living and I can live for other people and myself. And I think that's a very beautiful concept to live by.
Yeah, I think that's so nice. And on listening to our students, they are actually STEAM students from senior high school, right? So I'd like to ask about the requirements now of becoming a geology student and a physics student. Are you being strand specific? Do you have like an entrance exam in your department? Do you have an interview? Can you walk us through the admission process and requirements as well?
Yeah, I can only speak for the physics na program. Na for the BS Physics program, we have open submission, open admission, selective retention policy in the department, wherein any high school graduate, any senior high school graduate from any strand are actually welcome to be part of the department and to take up BS Physics. Na. They just have to maintain grade requirement as they go through from the freshman level to graduation. So that's it. It's again open admission, so everyone from the high school are welcome.
That's nice.
So for the BS Geology program, it's still the same with the BS Physics. However, for the STEAM graduates, they have to maintain this. They have to submit. Their grade should be a 85 in math, physics, and chemistry. And for the non-STEAM graduates, they have to attend augmentation. They will be required to have augmentation classes. The same with in chemistry, math as well.
So is this like the same with like bridging courses?
Yeah, it's
Ma'am
a
Annette?
yes.
Okay. So essentially right now, our physics department and geology, can we have the numbers? I mean, especially for the pioneering, for the pioneering, on what year na ba tayo ngayon, Ma'am Annette?
So currently, we have at least 10 students in the program.
Nice.
3 of which are whom are in the second year level. So actually Duane is one of the pioneering. One of the students of the pioneering batch, and then we have 7 students.
So second year
Sa
na.
first years.
Okay, that's amazing.
So we
Hopefully
hope
you will
to have more.
Yeah.
We hope to welcome more.
May your
students
tribe
in the
increase.
program.
How about
That's
in the
true.
physics,
Department.
Dr. Kea?
I don't have the exact number, no, but there are no graduating students for this year. I know for sure that there are 2+1 students who are in the higher level, and there are, I think, around 5 in the lower levels. So less than 10 still, but we are really working hard to have more BS Physics students.
So yeah, thank you very much to our guest for an insightful and inspiring talk for tonight. Now let us have some fun. Let's do some fast talk. You don't have to think about it in such a long period of time. What comes into your mind, okay, say it.
Yeah,
Are we ready?
Yeah, so where do we start, Ron? With June?
Sige. Okay. Junelie, hard or soft science?
Hard.
Ma'am K, plants or pets?
Plants.
Ma'am Florence, summer or rainy days?
Summer.
Duane, morning or afternoon?
Afternoon.
Junelie, beaches or mountains?
Beaches.
Eto, Ma'am K, I know you're into traveling. Apo Island or Siquijor?
That's very hard to choose from. I would say Apo.
Apo Island,
Apo
yeah.
Island.
Okay, all of them must answer this fast talk. Love or career, Ma'am Florence?
Career.
Duane,
Career.
June.
Love.
Wow. I did mine simultaneously.
You can have it all.
Yeah.
All right, I'd like to ask Duane, cities or countryside?
Countryside.
Junelie, loose auditorium or main library?
Loose auditorium.
Ma'am K, is it the amphitheater or Silliman Hall?
Amphi.
Ma'am Florence, 3 reasons why study geology.
To become rock star. Second is to help save lives. And third is to become relevant in the society.
Okay. Duane, what are the 3 things or items on your bucket list?
Go to New Zealand, go to the United Kingdom, and also help contribute to the geology of the Philippines.
I like that.
Junelie, 3 reasons why study physics.
To understand yourself, to understand society, and to understand the world.
Okay.
Okay. Ang daming understand. Hindi ko understand. Okay. I think everyone should complete the statement. Okay. So if you're from Silliman Geology, you say Silliman University Geology Department is, and from physics, ganun din. Okay. So let's start. Silliman University Geology Department is.
Awesome.
Is.
Awesome.
So awesome.
So awesome.
Ma'am Kay, Silliman University Physics Department is.
The best.
June.
Creative.
Alright. Once again, thank you so much to our guest for tonight, Dr. Paglinawan, and Assistant Professor Labis, and of course our students, June and Duane. Godspeed to you guys. So we have now come to the last segment of the show. It's called #WTP, or Word to Ponder. Ron, what's your word to ponder this episode?
I'm at lost for words, Joshua, but I'd like to ponder on the word faith because you have
Faith.
because you earlier you had a heart-warming heart-moving and heartwarming discussion about faith and the common misconceptions against physicists and geologists. And it boils down to the fact that science are all about facts and faith is all about, and religion is all about faith. Believing in God is a choice, it's a constant choice that we have to make. And according to Dr. K, now with all the things that she knew and discovered about physics and geologists, about sciences, it boils down to someone, or there is one or supernatural being that is orchestrating the realities that we have now.
Yeah.
No? So it all boils down to faith. How about you, Josh?
Actually, we have the same word to ponder for this episode. Okay. But yeah, I just expound on faith. Actually, and I'd like to agree. So yun na lang, agree na. But yeah, essentially, I think our Christian faith does not necessarily take us farther, no, from the reality. But as we study through science, we become closer to the creations of God, and subsequently we became closer to God, to the Creator. And I also would like to ponder na lang on the word, let us say, equality, no? Because I am seeing here we have 2 boys and we have 2 women in STEM, and usually in the sciences there's really this low number of women,
underrepresented and outnumbered by men.
But in Silliman, we are so fortunate that we have a lot of women studying science. So essentially, science knows no gender. It knows no culture, size, or it doesn't know any race. Science is for humanity, and science bring light to us as we answer questions that could, in one way or the other, change the world. Thank you very much for joining our episode tonight, and to God be the glory. Hey there, Sillimanians! Thank you for joining our episode tonight. Support us online, especially our Facebook page. It's called #Silliman. We also have our YouTube channel. It's called #Silliman. Don't forget to click the notification bell for you to be updated with our recent posts. See you there!
And don't forget to catch us also at Fail Products every Monday at 8 p.m. and replays will be shown every Tuesday before the noontime news and every Friday after the noontime news. This has been Ronelyn Vailoces
and Joshua Soldivillo. Kita-kits next week only here on
Silliman.
Bye! Congrats to senior high school students! Congrats.